Happy Tuesday to you, everyone. Hope you're having a great day. You know, the year 2020 is definitely one going to be for the books there. Just a really tough year. A lot of natural calamities occurring in this particular season and year. For instance, we have a pandemic going on. We also have had a record number of wildfires and acreage burned and people displaced from their homes. We've also had a record number of hurricanes, and they tell us the season's not even over with yet. Record number of flooding. It has certainly been a year in which it would definitely pay to have a basic knowledge of survival skills. And the three pillars of survival are these. Knowledge in your head. Do you have any knowledge about how to survive should one of these natural calamities beset you? Come upon you, your family, your friends. Would you know how to survive if suddenly your home was wiped out? If your entire neighborhood was wiped out, if you found yourself lost out in the wilderness, would you find your way out? Would you be able to help yourself and your family? Do you know about the resources? What kind of knowledge do you have about the resources in your pack? It doesn't just do any good to carry around a pack with stuff in it if you don't know how to use the stuff, if you don't properly know how. I know so many people who, for instance, buy these big, elaborate, and fancy first aid kits, but they don't know the first thing about how to use them properly. In fact, just the other day, I was having a discussion with my wife, and I said, this ever happens to me, we're just talking about this one particular thing. I said, you have to put a tourniquet on me, make sure you mark a T on my forehead. And I got this look like, why? I go, so they know I have a tourniquet on. But wouldn't they be able to see that you have a tourniquet on? No, because the next thing you're supposed to do is cover me up to protect me from shock. Oh. See, you got to have a basic knowledge of fundamental survival skills. And if you're going to have stuff to help you survive, well, you need to know how to use that stuff. And then lastly, you need to have that knowledge of how to use it. So I kind of got ahead of myself there. You got to have knowledge in your head. You got to have resources in your pack, the proper resources, and then you have to have knowledge on how to use these resources. And some of that basic knowledge, just from a survival standpoint, is everything from build a shelter. How do you make a shelter? Have you ever built one before? How do you get yourself out of the elements if there's nothing in which to use to make a shelter? You can freeze to death. You can burn up. You can become dehydrated. You got to know how to get out of the elements, control the elements around you. You have to know how to purify water. There's an old rule of 3 in survival, and that says you can only go 3 days without water, only about 3 weeks without food, and only about 3 seconds without hope. You've got to know how to build a fire, primitive fire. How can you do that? Do you know how to do that? If you can do that, you can at least purify water, and you have potable water that you can drink. You won't become dehydrated. How do you catch food? Are you squeamish about catching food? Well, if you can't catch food and you don't want to kill anything to eat it, then you better learn how to locate the plant material around you and whatever's available to give you life-sustaining energy. Do you know how to navigate? Or are you just going to go around in circles all day long and for weeks on end until you finally perish? You got to know how to navigate. You know how to signal for help. How can you let someone know, hey, I'm here, just so you know? You've got to be able to know how to do that, how to properly hold a signal mirror, to even make sure that you have one with you. How to build a signal fire is way different than the fire that you build to boil that water to make it potable. First aid, I just talked about that. You have to have the proper first aid equipment with you, and you have to know how to use that first aid equipment. Otherwise, it can be used against you and not for you. And people who don't have this basic knowledge and don't carry around these basic resources for survival are those people who have to depend upon the authorities to rescue them. Instead, if they had this, they would not only be able to rescue themselves, but rescue their family, their children, their friends, and all the other people who happen to get caught up in this situation. Well, I've been drawing this little examples and comparing this parallel world between survival skills and survival rules and lessons this week, and how I'm comparing those to owning a dog. Because it's very, very similar. In fact, it's kind of how I grew up in Alaska. I grew up surviving, I grew up owning dogs. And I saw all of these same parallel existence there, and a lot of these lessons are the exact same, and they can be applied and overlap to one another all the time. It's just good to know stuff. So how does the 3 pillars of survival, how's that applied to owning and caring for a dog? Well, first of all, you do have to have knowledge in your head. You just can't go willy-nilly adopt a dog, buy a dog and bring it into your household. The next thing you know, you're asking, what do you feed this thing? How much do you feed? And how often do you feed it? You've got to have some basic knowledge before you take on an animal into your life. You have to have that. You have to have a basic fundamental knowledge of just canine behavior. Left unchecked, meaning if we humans weren't around and your dog suddenly got parked inside your home, what would it do? How would it try to survive? How would it get itself out of a particular situation? How would it problem solve and gain resources and energy? How would it handle interacting with other strangers or animals? How would it do that? You need to have a basic fundamental knowledge of canine behavior. And that's why my first book, Embracing the Wild in Your Dog, it was exactly about that. That's what it was about. It wasn't a training book. It was about you learning the animal that you just invited into your home and what makes it tick. So you got to have that. You also have to have resources in your pack. There's tons of training equipment out there on the market. And some of those you may need to use, some of those you may not want to use, and some of those are just good to have and fun to have. But you have to have resources to train your dog. It's an animal, it's got 4 legs, it's built differently than you, and it thinks differently than you in many aspects of its life and when it's trying to survive. If you want to be a good zookeeper, a good dog owner, and a great dog trainer, you're going to have to rely upon using some equipment because the good old hands here aren't going to get it done. Only to a certain degree. You can pet a whole lot and you can pick a burr out here or there and you can wipe a nose and wipe the rear end. But if you want to shape behavior and make this dog, mold this thing into something that fits into your life as a human and into your human dwelling, and something that will lower your blood pressure, make you happy, and keep everyone safe, you will have to have resources, and you'll have to have them in your pack. And then you'll have to know how to use them. So case in point, let me just dig in this little pack right here. Let's just see what we have. We'll go over this real fast here. Just some fundamental things that I run into all the time. Okay, so a leash. Wow, okay. Honestly, I have met people that did not know how a leash works. Yeah, you got to know. So if you pick up a leash, what does this end do? Is this just for your hand? Or when you get desperate, is it just for you to put around your own neck? Got to know how to use a leash. You got to know what length of a leash to use. So owning a leash doesn't do squat if you don't know how to use it. Okay, next thing. Let's climb on in here. Oh, this thing's called a thunder shirt. What are thunder shirts for? Why would you ever wrap your dog in something that's got more hook and piles than anything else I know of? There's a bunch of Velcro and a bunch of flaps. How does it go on? Should it go on snug? Should it go on tight? Would it be loose? How do you do that? Okay, got to know your stuff. All right, no pull harness. Yeah, there you go. No pull harness, okay? Well, first step is it's got like 19 million buckles on it and 19 million rings on it. Which ring do you hook the leash to? Which one? To make it effective. Otherwise, it's just another piece of some sort of apparel for your dog and can actually trip your dog up and cause your dog to have a lot of problems if you got a leg sticking here between this gap here where it's not supposed to go in that gap. Trust me, you'll figure it out before long, so you got to know how to use that too. Otherwise, not going to stop the pulling. Head halters, gentle leaders. Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, you're going to have to read the manual on this. You're going to have to practice using this thing. Make sure you do, because you can really harm your dog if you don't. Okay, next thing. Oh, a treat pouch. Yeah, everyone wants a treat pouch, but you know what? It's a treat pouch. Put treats in it. That's it. That's it. Don't be putting a Ziploc bag in your treat pouch because you don't want your treat pouch to get dirty. That's what they're there for. They're there for saliva-ridden treats. Yeah, you give dog treat, dog spit gets on fingers, fingers transfer dog spit into treat pouch. And they cover all those other treats with dog spit. That's how they work. And you want to use them effectively so your timing is good. Timing's not late. I can just see it now. Good sit. Yeah, it's a good one. Tell me. Give me a second here. Hold on. Gosh, okay, I got the treat pouch open. Now let me open up the Ziploc bag. Yeah, you're still doing good. Oh, wait a minute. Stop. Get back. Oh, geez. Never mind. Make sure your treat pouch is used for treats. Make sure it can open quickly. You can gain access to those treats so you can give them to your dog with the proper timing. Know where to wear them. If you're right-handed, typically on your right side. If you're left-handed, on the left side. Sometimes in the front to target a dog to the front, but never behind you. Know your resources and know how to use them. Long lines. Oh my gosh, you want to see someone fumble up something on a long line or a piece of equipment that they're going to follow up on? Definitely, it's the long line. The long line. Oh my gosh, this thing is the antithesis of training equipment. Okay, here's the deal about long lines. They're usually made of material that allows them to lie, believe it or not, on the ground. Yeah, they can withstand dirt and mud and dog spit and dog feces and all the other nasty stuff out there. They certainly can. So can your hands. So when you're using a long line, just a little tip here, let it pay out of your hand when you're walking away from the dog naturally. All the rest of it's on the ground. Don't be stepping into the by the line. You'll learn that the hard way. You only do that once. Back away from the dog. And then as you approach the dog, pull the line over your hand. Yeah, all that gooey, nasty stuff, yep, pull it right over your hand. Why? So you always have the correct amount of slack out at all times. Does you no good to have 30 feet of slack out on your line. Your dog breaks stay and you go, no. Oh, but hold on. Now no. You get it? Okay, so make sure you know how to use your equipment so you can use it effectively so you can do great dog training so you love your dog and want to keep your dog. That's it for long line. All right, do I have anything else left here? Oh yeah, prong collars. Okay, so if you ever want to use a prong collar, it actually has a couple rings on it as well. It has a swivel ring. That's where the leash goes, the one that turns. It does not go on the ring holding the two sides of the prongs together. That's called a safety ring. And by golly, never yank it, never put it on the teeth. And also, prong collars are supposed to be worn snug on your dog's neck. They're not supposed to hang like some chain and then barb your dog. That's not how they work. Make sure you know how to do that. Okay, and then lastly, well, a lot of that equipment's captains back in the day. So I got a ball. Make sure you have something that you can play with your dog. Make sure it's something that's safe. Make sure it's something that you can use that you don't get your dog in danger with. There's a little ball on a string. Tell you what, there's a learning curve behind it. Anyone that owns one, tell you what, I've practiced now for over 5.5 years with Captain, and I can darn near put that in any hole on a golf course. I kid you not. How many of those balls have I been through? Ask Captain. Probably about a dozen of them. They're hanging up in trees somewhere. Yeah, they're probably still there. They went launching into the Mississippi River. Yep, they're probably in New Orleans about now. They're gone. They went over a ravine. So there's a learning curve on how to use a ball so you can use it so your dog doesn't chase into a highway, so you don't bonk someone on the forehead. Make sure you yell 4 before that happens. Yeah, you got to learn how to do all of this stuff. Okay, so again, on the 3 pillars of survival, they apply to dog training. You got to have knowledge about basic dog training in your head, basic canine behavior. You have to have that. Then you can use that with the resources in your pack because you certainly now know how to do that. And if you can't, then you're going to wind up like these people who get caught in these natural calamities. Their house is washed away, burned down to nothing but mere ash. Blown away by a hurricane. You're lost. You went for a day hike and next thing you know, you zigged when you should have zagged. And now you're asking yourself, why am I going downhill when I never went uphill? And now you're lost. And those people, because they don't have the 3 pillars of survival, they have to be rescued. And the same thing goes for dog owners. They don't have that 3 pillar. They have to be rescued. They're rescued by Google. Oh my God, Google. Google, God, please tell me what it is that I need to know. Please, 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 please. Or they ask their veterinarian. Or they ask family and friends. And then they finally ask a dog trainer. And by the time they finish asking everyone, they're horribly confused. Get busy, guys. There is a ton of wonderful information regarding basic canine behavior, basic care of an animal, basic. Watch my videos. Heck, I got 280 some of these darn things now. I've put out a ton of information on this. Learn, learn, learn. Learn your equipment. Learn it. Give new equipment a try. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. Talk about in survival, you've got to learn how to operate outside your comfort zone because you're not going to be comfortable. Now, not unless someone happens to wash a Ritz-Carlton right at your doorstep, you're not going to be comfortable. You got to get very comfortable being uncomfortable. And sometimes that comes to training equipment as well, and also the training mindset, but I'll save that for tomorrow. Okay, guys, so remember that 3 pillars of survival: knowledge in your head, resources in your backpack, and the knowledge on how to use those resources. Okay, so get it down, because someday dear old Bryan may need you to rescue me. I hope not, because I've got this. I got it all day, every day, and I want you to have it too. All right, guys, I'm out of here. See you guys tomorrow morning. And by the way, I'm going to give you a little bit of warning. Tomorrow morning's going to be bright and early. So get ready to wake up early. Got stuff to do. Again, it's called getting comfortable, being uncomfortable. See you about the time, actually probably before the rooster crows. Have a good one.